Our next speaker is someone you may recognize from MSNBC, Fox News, Bloomberg, or CNBC. Perhaps you've read his daily column in the Washington Post, or you subscribe to his weekly articles in sources like Forbes, Inc. magazine, and Entrepreneur.com. Gene Marks is a successful business consultant, and he's also a certified public accountant and spent 9 years as a senior manager for KPMG's entrepreneurial services arm. Gene is here to discuss the biggest environmental trends and issues that will influence you over the next few years. Please join me in welcoming Gene Marks.
Shake your hand. No, thank you. You're welcome. Appreciate it. Hey, everybody, good morning. Glad to be back again. I was told by these guys I can speak until about 2, 3 o'clock. Is that okay? So we have a lot to cover. So just settle in. We'll be fine. They're bringing in pizza. It's great that you put me on right before lunch. Like, thanks, David. I got to thank him for doing that. Everybody's got other things on their mind. I have to add to that bio, by the way, of me, which very few people know. I was in the Boy Scouts for a number of years. I am an Eagle Scout. And yeah, right? That is something to be proud of, right? I mean, if you got kids or grandkids and they're either in the Boy Scouts or the Girl Scouts, amazing organization. Boy Scouts taught me so much. I was in there from the age, literally, of like 10 years old. They took them young at the time, all the way into my 20s, because, we stayed involved. I made a lot of good friends in the troop and all that. I'll tell you what they taught me, which is an important lesson for all of us. They taught me about sort of management stuff. When you were in my troop, we had about 45, 50 people in my troop, and the big thing that they always had us do was to make meals. So if you were a patrol leader, if you were like 14, 15, 16 years old, you had a patrol of kids, like a dozen or so kids younger than you or your same age, and your job was to prepare them one of the meals, sometimes two, when you went on a camping trip. And we went on camping trips every month. And it was like a stressful thing. Like I would be assigned like breakfast. You have to feed like 40, 50 people. I'd be going out shopping with my mom like a couple nights before, and I have to think about all the ingredients and then go there. And then when you're cooking, you don't do all the cooking. The whole point is to get everybody else in your patrol doing the cooking for you. So you're like learning how to lead and how to be a manager and all that kind of stuff. Because the thing that it's supposed to really teach you is the Boy Scout motto. And do we know the Boy Scout motto? Be prepared, right? So, dude, if you're going to go and you're going to cook for like 50 people, right? And this is a harsh crowd. Like, you screw up, they are like all on you, So if you're going to do that, you better be prepared with what you got to do. And by the first few times I did that, it was I was horrible at it, but then I got better, and I really became very, very good at it. And I learned a lot of great lessons. I learned how to be prepared. I also learned not how to substitute salt for sugar when you're making pancakes for breakfast, which was was a valuable lesson for me. I learned that the hard way. Anyway, we talk about being prepared. It has the same thing to do with us in business. When I speak to business owners, when I speak to us as financial people, we're managers, we're executives, we're in public CPA firms, we're in private industry, we are senior people. That's why we make the big bucks. We're supposed to be prepared. We're supposed to always be looking ahead. We're supposed to be knowing what's coming down the pike and what's going to be affecting us. I can tell you now, when I speak to successful business owners who have survived recessions, good times, bad times, all that, these people that I talk to, and think about your clients, think about the people that you work for, these people that have been around for a number of years, that have really made it, they're always prepared. They're always looking ahead. These people are not thinking, we're in June now of 2017. Nobody's thinking about June right now. These people, they're thinking about their operations, making sure they're keeping an eye on things. The smart leaders in the world, the smart business people that are around for ages, they are thinking about 2018. They are thinking about 2019 right now. That's how they're staying prepared. So because, again, that's why they make the big bucks. They are responsible for navigating their companies through all the stuff that's going on right now with Donald Trump and Washington, D.C. and the economy and all the different, even technology. Got to make decisions now that are going to impact your companies 2, 3, 4 years from now. That's what I'm going to help you do today. So in the next 3 or 4 hours that I speak, I want to share with you, just kidding, it's just like an hour or so. I want to share with you some of the biggest trends that are going on all around us, politically, economically, what's going on in Washington, taxes, believe it or not, or technology, just what's happening there. And I'm going to help you make some decisions. so you can make some plans, so you can be prepared, so you can make sure that you're navigating your company the right way or helping to navigate it through all the different things that are changing the world right now over the next couple of years. Fair enough? Now, we're kind of a big audience here, so I really can't take any questions during the type of feed, but that won't stop me from asking you guys questions, just to make sure that you stay awake. I like doing this, I'll talk about stuff, and then just to kind of like make sure I reinforce the points that I'm making, I'll ask you questions, okay? Now, the questions that I ask, they're not that tough. I'll give you an example. This is like a typical question, like true or false. New York is the world's largest city. Is that true? False? It's false, right? It's pretty easy, right? It's not so bad. Anybody want to guess what the world's largest city is? Shout it out. Mexico. Singapore. I heard Tokyo. Yeah, it is. It's Tokyo. Okay, 38 million people live in Tokyo, I'm told, all in one office building somewhere off the Ginza. Singapore, Shanghai's on there, Mexico City, New York, 19 million people, so we've got our top. It's pretty much a list of 9 cities I'd never want to live in myself. I'm from Philly, but okay, fine. I'm sure everybody's happy in all those cities, including New York. Very good. True or false? How about this one? Apple is the world's largest employer. It is false, right? They are not the world's largest employer. Does anybody want to guess who the world's largest employer is? Yeah. You know what? You said the United States government, and I should have said private employer, so I'm sorry about that. Private employer, it is. It's Walmart. Walmart. 2.2 million employees are employed by Walmart. This is a list of some of the other larger employers of the world. I could tell you, number 2, I could tell you what GS4 PLC does, but then they would shoot me afterwards, okay? So I'm not allowed to really divulge that information. The rest of these companies, some of them are fairly well known. Walmart, just by comparison, 115,000 employees at Walmart, just to give you an idea how much smaller they are. Apple, excuse me, compared to Walmart. So that's what the difference is. How about this? True or false? Beginning January 1st, 2017, it is now illegal to pose for a selfie with a tiger in New York State. It's false. That was 2015, guys. You got to keep see, this is why I'm here, to help you with this new rules and legislation. Don't worry. I'll catch you up on all this stuff. All right, fair enough. And true or false, the Trump administration will have a significant impact on your firm and your clients' profits. Yeah, it is true. They really are. So we want to talk a little bit about that. And if we're going to talk about the Trump administration and the impact on profits, let's start with one of the biggest drivers of our profits, millennials. Okay, the millennial generation, defined as those between the age of 18 and 34 years old. These are, and I don't want to hear it, like, oh, these guys don't want to work, they're lazy, they don't want to, trust me, your parents were saying the same stuff about you when you were between 18 and 34, right? And their parents were saying the same thing about them. So forget it, it's the millennial generation. Here's the thing about the millennial generation and why they impact us so much as business owners and managers. They make up about 50% of the U.S. workforce. So these are people that the smart business people that I meet, whatever complaints they have about the younger generation, and I used to walk to work with a warm potato in my hand, and these people in their BMWs, whatever complaints you have, this is the reality. These are your assets. These are smart people. These are people that can be put to use to generate profits for your business. And the smart business owners that I know recognize that fact. They don't complain about the generation. They want to make sure that their companies adapt to this generation. It's a big trend. Now, some of the things to keep in mind when adapting. This is survey after survey, Towers Perrin, KPMG, Korn Ferry. A majority favor independence, flexibility over compensation. A majority, survey after survey. I'd rather have more time off, more flexibility, more mobility than actually pay. It's more important to me. In addition to that, 72% of them in one survey, they want flexible work schedules. Don't we all? Okay? But they want to be able to work from home. They want to be on the road. They also want to be in the office as well. 68% of them want work from home options. This is the most tech-savvy generation ever. That's no surprise. They've been brought up on Facebook and social media and other cloud-based applications. In addition, they have the largest percentage of immigrants since the early 20th century. So this generation of millennials are made up of people from all over the world compared to the people that were coming through Ellis Island in 1900s and before. 2/3 of the millennial generation in one KPMG survey said that they prefer organizations. They want to work for organizations that are socially conscious. So is your organization socially conscious? They want to feel like they're giving back something to the world. It's not just about the job. It's about something bigger than that. That is something important that we all have to keep in mind. And finally, healthcare is the top requested benefit of this generation. Now, not the 18 and 19-year-olds because they're superhuman and they're not going to get sick, but once they hit the age, the age like you're in your 26 or so and you're like, you used to be able to go out to a happy hour or out drinking Thursday night and get up at 6 in the morning for work and then there's something one night you're like, I can't do this anymore. That's when healthcare suddenly becomes so important to these people. It usually happens around then and then healthcare becomes a big benefit. So let's talk about healthcare, because there's a lot of discussion about healthcare going on in DC right now, and we want to make some decisions. We want to know what's happening so we can make some decisions for our businesses regarding healthcare reform. Now, will there be healthcare reform? Well, right now we know the House of Representatives has passed their healthcare bill. There's been a lot of rumors about infighting among the Republicans in the Senate now, because that's where it sits. John Thune, he's the third-ranking Republican in the U.S. Senate. We have moved beyond meetings. They're now drafting, as we speak, the base language for the replacement bill. John Cornyn, who is the second-ranking Republican in the U.S. Senate, we will absolutely have a bill by the end of July at the latest. He also believes that as well. Mitch McConnell has been on record as saying that we are going to be taking a vote on health care reform as well. We are moving things along. Even President Trump has chipped in with his comments on health care reform as well, but nobody really knows what he's talking about. But fair. Things are still moving forward with some type of a vote in the Senate regarding health care. And here's the timeline that you should be aware of. Mitch McConnell, he's the leader of the Republicans in the Senate. The Republicans have the majority in the Senate right now. He wants a vote by the July 4th recess. That is coming up. That's what we were shooting for, is to have a vote on health care. He needs 50 votes to pass the Senate bill. Right now, because they have 52 Republicans in the Senate, that's their majority. He only needs 50, because with 50, he can have Vice President Pence be the tiebreaker, right? So he needs 50 votes. Right now, there are 3 moderates that are opposed and a few others that are wavering. So he actually doesn't have those 50 votes right now as we speak today. The question is, will he have that by July 4th? Even whenever they get this bill out there, when they finally release the bill, the CBO is going to need some time to review it. They are trying to ensure that the Senate bill will also save $133 billion over the next 10 years, just like the House bill will. That's one of the requirements in the legislative process. So the Congressional Budget Office has to get involved and make sure that the numbers themselves work out. Even if it passes before July 4th, they get the bill, they vote on it, everything it passes, it will take months for the Senate bill and the House bill to be reconciled. And I'll point out some differences in the two as we get into this, but that will also take months as well. And not only that, Congress is going to adjourn on July 20th. So in other words, if nothing happens by July 28th, they go on adjournment for a 5-week recess. The health care reform bill could very well be dead at that point. So we're going to know it. I mean, basically, we're sitting here now at the beginning of June. Within the next 7 weeks, all the debate and all the arguments over healthcare reform and replacing Obamacare, all that stuff is we're going to have answers to that finally, and that's going to impact our businesses. How will it impact our businesses? Does anybody know who this is? Anybody want to? Tom Price. Right? He's the head of the Department of Health and Human Services, the guy with Trump, with all the yelling and the tweeting and the Comey and the Russian and the, Kathy Griffin and, all that stuff going on. He's got his cabinet. They're working behind the scenes on different types of legislation and executive orders. Tom Price, he's in charge of the Health and Human Services Department. He is working very closely as Trump's representative in his cabinet with Senate leaders right now on this new health care bill. Whatever happens, it'll take a 2 to 3 replacement. And whatever happens, these are things that are on the chopping block. No more individual mandate. We're not allowed, no more rule if it passes the Senate where we are required by law to have health care insurance. No more corporate mandates, right? So for those of us running companies with more than 50 full-time equivalent employees and we have to provide health care insurance to our full-timers, that all goes away as well. That's on the chopping block. Certain controversial coverages are on the chopping block. Coverages for, like abortion, Planned Parenthood, contraception, things like that are also on the chopping block. The 3.8% under an income tax, we're familiar with that. That's, yeah, right, dividends, income, passive income. If you sell your house now, subject to an exclusion, you have to pay a tax on it. That is on the chopping block right now, but potentially negotiable, and certain reporting requirements. All of that is on the chopping block right now. Here's what would happen. If the Senate passed the bill, this is what you could start seeing in your health plans going forward. For starters, the states will be given extended powers. You know what people are talking about in the health care reform bill that that the House passed is that all people that get certain essential health benefits, like if you're uninsured, for example, you have a pre-existing condition, all that stuff will go away. It's not going away. It's part of the bill. That's what the Senate, everybody still has pre-existing conditions, coverages for your kids up to the age of 26. However, the states in the bill that the Senate is sitting on right now have the powers to apply for a waiver from the Department of Health and Human Services and say, listen, maybe we don't want to provide some of these essential health benefits like coverage for pre-existing conditions. And if the Department of Health and Human Services can grant them a waiver. Having said that, the Department of Health and Human Services, Tom Price's department, has been on record as saying, we're not going to grant waivers unless the states can prove to us how they're going to subsidize these benefits on their own. So that they're still going to provide these kinds of benefits, but they're going to show how they're going to pay for it themselves. Now, the coverage might be less, it might not be as good. I mean, who knows? It's up to the Department of Health and Human Services to decide, but it's not going away, it's still there. It just gives more powers to the states. Same thing with Medicaid, block grants being given to the states to spend rather than the federal government making that decision. Changes in certain tax treatments, and this is kind of big for all of us right now, because right now what the Senate is sitting on is that for all of us that have health insurance, we would get a refundable tax credit. So there's a formula that we go through based on our age and based on what we pay for health insurance. We actually get a credit, and the credit can be applied to the taxes that we owe. And if we don't owe any taxes, we get the money back from the government. That's why it's called refundable. Right now, they're negotiating that tax credit. It might be a little bit less, it might be a little bit more, but it's a talking point right now within the Senate. Individual health savings accounts, I'll talk about that in a minute. And a big one here to be aware of, tax on employer-provided plans. The healthcare bill needs more revenues, right? So one thing they're considering is that Obamacare, that 3.8% tax, maybe they won't get rid of it, maybe they will. They're also considering this. Right now, if you or your employees at your company are, if you're offering a healthcare plan and they're contributing, there's also a portion that the company is paying for their healthcare. That portion is not taxed as income. It's not considered to be income right now, even though the company's taking a deduction for it. So the Senate are actively talking about potentially making the benefits that you're providing your employees, the premiums that you're paying on their behalf, to make them taxable. So it would go on their W-2s, and the employees would have to pay taxes on that because it's compensation. So keep an eye on that, because that could affect us as well. And finally, more power for the insurance industry. Changes in how they pool their risks, selling across state lines. The big one is continuous coverage. Remember I told you earlier that the individual mandate is going away. We're not required to buy insurance anymore. There's a little bit of a catch to that. We're not required to buy insurance, but if we let our insurance lapse even for a year, in other words, if we don't have continuous coverage of our insurance companies can come back and charge us rates through the roof if they want to. So as long as we continue with our coverage and have continuous coverage, insurance companies are mandated to only give us premium increases that states approve. However, again, if we let it lapse, all bets are off. Insurance companies can charge what they want, and that's a potential issue. So it's not a mandate, but it's a strong encouragement to keep paying in your health insurance. All of this stuff is being discussed in the Senate right now. Now, that's all fine, that's all well, that's all good. Who cares right now, right? I'm trying to figure out my budget for 2018. I want to attract millennials to my business. I want to be competitive, but I don't want to overpay for health insurance. What do I do? So I'm going to tell you what to do. I want to share it. Again, I speak to so many business owners around the country. This is not me. I'm no genius when it comes to healthcare strategy. All I can do is I can just share with you what other smart business people are doing right now with their health insurance. And they're doing these things. For one, just about everybody that I talk to, they're sticking with the high deductible plans right now, and I'm sure you would agree in your companies, right? The bronze plans, they're called right now, but they're the ones that are high deductible. They're pushing more costs on their employees. However, everybody's getting HSAs. health savings accounts. The new bill might allow us to have individual HSAs. HSAs have increased in popularity by 40% over the past 2 years. 40%. But HSAs, if you're not familiar, they're like a 401k for your healthcare, right? You can put money away pre-tax. The employer puts money away pre-tax. You can take it out and pay for reimbursable expenses and out-of-pocket expenses. Hugely popular are HSAs this year, so that's something that you have to absolutely consider. The second big thing, I talked about this last year, and I want to have to it's growing even more, are level-funded and hybrid plans. Talk to your benefits person about these. A level-funded plan, it works like this. You say to your employees, listen, for the first $200 in expenses, bring them into us. We'll cut you a check and reimburse you. Anything over $200, our group insurance policy kicks in. So it's a combination of self-insurance at the low level and then the group insurance policy after that. If you get a level funded, all my clients that are doing this, they're paying less in health insurance with a level funded or a hybrid plan. Now you got to do the math. Depends on the demographics of your workforce. You've got to administer that, so that takes some cost to do that as well. But depending on your workforce and what kind of infrastructure you have, it might really, really be a benefit to you. So that's another thing to look into. That's what a lot of business owners are doing. The healthcare reimbursement accounts, they became good to go now. They were before, if you were reimbursing your employees to get health care somewhere else on their own, you had to pay like these giant penalties for doing that. That's all gone away as of December of 2016. So even as a company, if you decide not to offer health care insurance, but you want to have an HRA set up, you can do that too. That's another great offer. That's another great option. Associations can now get back into the game of offering healthcare plans. So that might happen someday. It used to be a big thing in this community. I know I used to get my healthcare through the NJCPA. So it could be something that those communities will be back doing that again. So keep an eye on that too. And invest in education for your employees, for goodness sake. I mean, I don't know, a couple $1,000 a year. If you don't want to bring somebody in to teach your employees, why don't you sponsor a partner with some local healthcare consultant or benefits firm and do a program locally for your clients and prospective clients or prospective customers, or bring your employees to it as well. You know, you can do something for business building or just do something in-house. The smarter your employees are about health, you see how complicated this is, right? The smarter they are about making the choices, the better choices they will make, and the better that will benefit you and your company. This is what companies are doing now in 2017. I come back here in a couple of years. I mean, this list may be completely different, but I'm just sharing with you that's what's going on in the world, okay? All right, so enough about healthcare. Let's see what we've learned so far. True or false, a complete repeal of Obamacare is likely in 2017. False, right? If anything, it'll be like a more replacement of a lot of things, but a lot of things are going to be sticking around. Some things might be going away if it happens at all, so that is false. True or false, a level-funded plan combines group insurance with self-insurance. That is true. Talk to your benefits person about level-funded plans. I'm telling you, they will save you money and might be a good option for your company. And true or false, treatment for male pattern baldness is an essential health benefit. It's actually false. But you know what? I'm keeping my fingers crossed. You never know. Something may happen. You know, things are changing all the time in Washington, so eyes to the ground, okay? You never know when these things are going to happen. And true or false, the diploma that sits behind the wall behind Michael Scott is from the University of Scranton. First of all, we're local. We know University of Scranton, right? I mean, it's a well-known, good university, you know, whatever. True? False? No. It's actually false. It's a certificate of authenticity that he owns a quality Seiko timepiece. That's what it is. And it sits behind him in every episode of The Office in his office. That is absolutely true, and that's awesome. Okay, so here's what we've learned. Healthcare costs, very uncertain after 2017. HSAs, level-funded plans, getting hotter and hotter. Got to invest in those. Got to consider them as well. Okay, we're still talking about our people and our millennials, okay? Anybody know who this guy is? Alexander Acosta is who he is, the Secretary of Labor. That's who he is, okay? So very favored by both Democrats and Republicans, was on the National Labor Relations Board. He is, you know, a right-leaning guy, but he's now in charge of the Labor Department. For starters, if you're doing your budgeting, based on latest studies by both Korn Ferry and Towers Perrin, expect a 3% increase in 2017 into 2018. Paychex, the giant payroll firm, we're all familiar with Paychex, hundreds of thousands of clients, they monitor these things. So they just did their study through the end of April, I believe. They showed a 2.7% increase in wages among their entire client base. So 3% is the number that you want to benchmark when you're giving out wages, salary increases, and whatnot. The minimum wage increase ain't going to happen until 2018. Acosta does support a minimum wage increase, maybe as much as $10 to $11 an hour, and so does President Trump. Acosta's feeling, though, is that once they increase the minimum wage, we should just shut it all off and just increase it based on the cost of living. Like, stop having these arguments and debates every few years, just adjust it every year. But there's so much going on in Washington that's not going to be a discussion point this year. Overtime legislation, that's being kicked ahead until 2018. Remember, that was supposed to go into effect back in December, right? People making more than $24,000 up to $47,000 now, they'd be entitled to overtime pay. And then some business groups sued, and then the Obama administration, appealed the lawsuit, and then what happened? The Obama administration went away. So the Trump administration, they're not appealing the business groups' lawsuits right now, so it's sitting there stuck in the courts. Acosta also supports an increase in overtime wages, most likely not to the level of $47,000. So that's going to be an issue that will be revisited, but likely sometime in 2018. Paid time off, remember we were talking about those millennials, the guys you're trying to attract and motivate and keep productive? This is what they want, right? And that is a big issue in this year as we look to trying to recruit and build a workforce. So there's no national legislation for paid time off. There's some local requirements. I mean, different jurisdictions. In Philly, you have to provide, I think, 5 paid sick days a year if you've got more than 10 employees or something like that. So there are local requirements. But big companies are offering lots of paid time off benefits. And you're working at a company right now, you've got to make sure that you are keeping up. For example, Bank of America, if you work there, they offer 16 weeks paid time off for new parents. 16 weeks. And you think that's incredible. How about at Netflix? 1 year of paid time off. Everybody here, I can see you're quitting your jobs right now, and you're going to go and work for Netflix, right? Because you watch some great TV, and you get a bunch of paid time off. They're all sitting around. People are having babies at Netflix nonstop. They can sit around and catch up on Orange is the New Black, and then take the entire year off. But 1 year of paid time off for new parents of any gender, of any sort, of any whatever, that's what their policy is, so you can tell. Salesforce.com, we talk about, remember millennials want to work for socially conscious companies? Salesforce.com, they give 6 days of paid volunteer time off a year, as well as $1,000 a year to donate to a charity of their choice. So they say, you take paid time off, that's fine, as long as it's for volunteer work, and that's how we give back to the community. And I thought that's kind of interesting. Now, Hilton, and I'm going to keep my voice down. This is the Borgata is not owned by Hilton. If you work at a Hilton and you're an hourly employee, you get up to 10 weeks paid time off. Those are the people servicing the rooms and the restaurants. Oh, shut up. The Borgata people will hear me, they're going to get upset. So anyway, that's what their benefits are. I don't know what they are here, but that's really unbelievable. And then there's CarMax. You guys familiar with this one? At CarMax, if you work at CarMax, every year you get together with your supervisor, and together you determine your next year's paid time off based on your health and well-being. Like, I got the sniffles and a bit of a headache. I'm thinking 4 months. Is that okay? Just get myself back together again, and I'll be good to go. Is that fine? 4 months? Is that fine? That's what CarMax is, okay? And if you think that's incredible, LinkedIn, unlimited paid time off. Unlimited paid time off. Now, as accountants, how the hell do they accrue for vacation time at LinkedIn? I don't even want to know, but it's unlimited paid time off at LinkedIn. Just a show of hands here, how many of your companies offer unlimited pay? Yeah, right. Now, right. You think to yourself, there's a couple people over there, maybe, right? First of all, let me tell you something. For all of you that don't offer unlimited paid time off, good for you. Good for you. You're doing this not to save money because you're concerned about your employees' health and well-being. Do you know why I say that? Because LinkedIn, I'm writing about this now for the Post, LinkedIn and a few other companies right now, they're going back into their data and they offer unlimited paid time off. And you know what they're finding? They're finding their employees are taking less, paid time off. They're taking less time off. Why? It's like a psychology thing, right? It's like if you're given use it or lose it. Like I got 3 weeks paid time off. How about you? 3 weeks? Yeah, we better use it or we're going to lose it. Who's going to lose our vacation? We better use it. Okay, that's fine. We'll do that. But then if you leave it up to the choice of the employees, you got one guy in a cubicle here. He's working 60-hour weeks. Then you got the other guy who's taking 4 months off for the sniffles. And then it's time for a promotion. Who gets the promotion, right? So that's what they're finding. And these culture in these companies, they're very, it's a very competitive culture. And that's what they are finding. So good for you for not offering unlimited paid time off to your employee. You knew that. When you interview your next millennial and they ask you about paid time off, you say, we thought about offering paid time off, but we decided it just wasn't good for you and our employees. Too stressed out, too much of a work environment. Just take your 2 weeks vacation and shut the hell up, okay? That's what you say to them. But unlimited paid time off, it's becoming less and less of a trend, right? But it is certainly that's out there. And I will tell you this much, whatever paid time off policy that you have, unlimited, traditional, just the sick days, volunteer time, I will tell you this much. I will find out who you are. I will visit you in your office. I will punch you in the nose if you offer pet bereavement paid time off. That's not going to happen. That is going overboard. That is like my dog. It was terrible. My 14 years, the dog was like a Cocker Spaniel. We had to put him down. It was back in February, and everybody's crying. The kids are crying. I'm crying. It's like we love this dog. It was on a Sunday, and then Monday came, and I went to work. I don't know about you guys. I have a job, so I went to work. Right? There's no pet bereavement, for God's sake. So please avoid all of that. All right. So there's no national legislation. A lot of big companies are doing stuff, but keep in mind, in Washington, Trump supports 6 weeks of paid time off. He is big into that. Okay. Ryan and McConnell are both like, not so fast, okay? We got like some deficits to deal with and a budget issue and all of that. But that's what Trump is out for. That's a 2018 thing, but that is certainly something that should be on your agenda. And think about it. If you're formulating or crafting a paid time off policy for your company, what you want to do is you want to make sure you take that into consideration. You want to offer a benefit that's already there. By the way, that's 6 weeks in addition to the 12 weeks already of the Family Medical Leave Act as well. This will be 6 weeks paid time off, paid through compensation. It's in his budget. I just don't think it's going to get very far this year, but maybe next year. Now, so this is what your actions are when it comes to these rising employee costs. Budget for 3% wages. Don't fret about minimum wage and overtime until 2018. Revisit your paid time off policies. Make sure that you're competitive. There's the traditional 2 weeks use it or lose it. There's the flexible one. Here, there's just 3. Flexible is just like you get a certain amount of days, use it for anything that you want. Sick days, time off, whatever. And then, of course, there's the people that are still doing unlimited paid time off. So, true or false? Wages are expected to rise 1% in 2017. Okay, that's false. 3% is what you want to budget for. That's what you want to keep in mind. That's very, very important. True or false? Trump supports national paid time off legislation. Yeah, that is true, okay? So bear that in mind if you're revisiting your paid time off policy that the federal government might get involved sometime in 2018. And true or false? You can make a great ponytail for your daughter by using a vacuum cleaner. True? Right? Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's actually true. Here's how it's done. It's brilliant. Isn't that fantastic? Just a couple of notes here, just so you know. First of all, it's the dad who's doing this. Do you notice that? He's using an oven as a mirror. Right? It's in the morning. Clearly, mom is not around. But, okay, so it works. Healthcare, very uncertain after 2017. Wages will be increasing. Pay attention to paid time off. And oh, by the way, we're talking about using a vacuum cleaner for a good purpose. Whatever you do, for God's sake, don't use a vacuum cleaner like that, okay? That's just not... It's just a bad idea. I just would not recommend it at all. Okay. Still talking about employees and how we're using, how we're motivating them, attracting them, providing benefits to them, all within the context of different things that are going on. I'd like to share with you, listen, you watch what big companies are doing. There's no, I don't know if you work for a big company or not, but there's no way a lot of the smaller companies can keep up with the benefits of the big companies. But we can plagiarize some of them. We can copy some of them and tailor them to us, to what we can afford. So I thought, let me share with you 4 benefits that I got a ton more, but just time for 4, just to give you some example. There's a company called ZocDocs. ZocDocs does a thing called an unsick day. Right? And their unsick day is they say to their employees, listen, We'll give you a paid day off, but the requirement is you got to use some of that day to go get a medical checkup, or go get your dental exam, or go get, you know what I mean? So, you know, we're all so busy, and we're running around, and we've got the kids, we've got work, and we're stressed out. Who's got the time to do this kind of stuff? Well, we're going to give you the time. We're going to pay you to go and do that, and hopefully that not only improves your health, it improves our bottom line, lower insurance costs, all that kind of stuff. So ZocDocs is into that. PwC, right? I mean, they're often tuition reimbursement, $1,200 a year reimbursement on student loans. So again, the millennial generation, I don't know if you guys know this or not. If you go home, you can check this. Just like read the news. Colleges are really expensive. Don't know if you know that or not. They're really expensive. So tuition reimbursement is a big benefit to millennials. They're like dying under student debt. And I'll share with you a good service that will help you manage that. Asana, they are a project management company, great project management software. They have an executive life coach, on retainer that they use that any of their employees can make use of. It's kind of like, what's his face, Paul Giamatti's wife on Billions. Do you guys ever see Billions? She's like, so I'm not saying you're going to hire her for your, she seems a little expensive, but okay. It's not an employee of the company, but what Asana does is they've contracted with a few different independent life coaches, and don't knock that. You have issues, stresses in your life, balancing your personal life and your professional life. It's really nice to see somebody externally to talk over these problems, to get some motivation, and it's a nice employee benefit, and Asana has found that to be a really good thing. Genentech, now, again, they're a biotechnology company, not saying you do all this stuff, but they offer all these different types of amenities right there on site in their business. So car washes, haircuts, child care, they have a spa, they have a dentist that comes on site. I'm not saying you're going to have a spa at your business, but this is like really important stuff. Whatever amenities that you could potentially offer to an employee that cost the companies, it's peanuts to cost the company, but it just helps them save some time. Child care is big. Honestly, having like a hair stylist come on site once a week, paying a little extra to have that on site so people don't have to leave work to do that. There's other things. People have dry cleaning services done, you know what I mean? They take care of that for their boys. The dry cleaner comes to pick stuff up. All of those kinds of services, the more you can do with that, the more popular they are. And Genentech has found that to be very popular among their employees. Now, also, while we're talking about HR, while we're talking about benefits, I want to talk about some affordable technologies that you can use to perk your employees. I spoke about a few of these this morning in my technology session, so I apologize, you're going to hear about this again, but I want to make sure I share them because they're that good. One is called tuition.io. It's an online platform that manages all tuition reimbursement. PwC uses tuition.io. They're connected with loan payment services, and they're connected with, with your payroll service as well. So when you hire those millennials, if you're going to offer a benefit like tuition reimbursement, you can use this tuition.io platform to do all of that. I have a bunch of clients that use it. Very, very popular. It's a good, hot technology and service to use in HR. PERK has been very popular with a lot of clients. PERK is a technology that you can actually, you offer perks to your employees, like a goodie bag. It's $10 a month an employee. They have like 1,000 partners they work with. So when you hire a new employee, when you want to motivate your existing ones, they get a bag of, 10% off your next Avis car rental, 3-month membership to LA Fitness, a local restaurant offering a free entree if you buy an entree type of thing. People love that stuff. And again, you're trying to differentiate yourself and be competitive when you're trying to attract those millennial employees. This is another kind of hot type of service that are being offered. Very is a customized vending machine, and what Very does is this. You don't buy the machine comes on site, you just buy the products for it. You can order it all online. They have all the good stuff for Very, like, the peanut butter bars, which are delicious, right? The peanut butter cups, and Snickers, and Twix, all the good stuff, and all the annoying stuff that the millennials insist on, like fruit, and like energy bars, and like the healthy whatever. So you can put that into your vending machine as well. It's connected online, so whenever it runs low, it'll automatically reorder, so you can just replenish it. And the thing I like about Very is that you can set your own price. So remember we talked about being socially conscious. you can set your own price for the stuff that you're selling, which means that you can sell something higher, and whatever proceeds that you make, you can then say to your employees at the end of the year, net of cost, we'll give away the proceeds to this charity or this foundation or this fund, and people like that. It's a socially conscious thing. It's a good way. Millennials are into that. And finally, and I mentioned this morning, Bonusly has been hugely popular. It's a team-building application, and again, this generation likes this stuff. It's mobile. Here's how Bonusly works. Everybody gets, I call it the Harry Potter application. Like, everybody gets 100 points, right? And then during the month, say you use a month as your timing, everybody's got to give their points away to somebody else in the company for doing something, good within the company. Man, oh, that was a great job with that customer. 10 points for Gryffindor, and then you assign that person 10 points or 20 points or whatever. Then at the end of the month, whoever has the most points wins, right? And then they get like a prize, a coffee mug, or whatever, day off, whatever that you want to offer them. Bonusly is a really cool way to build team and collaboration, and again, also super popular. So, we talked about we're trying to motivate our millennials and keep them happy and all that good stuff. Okay, true or false? An unsick day requires employees to come to work regardless of any health issues. Okay, that's false. We're giving the employees time off to go and get checkups and medical exams, and we're actually paying for them to do that because theoretically it's supposed to benefit us all, so that's all fine. True or false? Tuition reimbursements is a popular benefit for millennials. Okay, that is true. So consider offering that. Yeah, PwC offers $1,200 a year. That's pretty steep. Maybe some variation of that, some percentage of that. It goes a long way when you're looking to hire and retain and attract people of this workforce. And true or false, Arizona Diamondbacks pitcher Randy Johnson once hit a bird in flight while pitching in a game. Yeah, that is true. You want to see this? This is what happened. It was in 2001. Is that nuts? So Randy Johnson has since retired, and he went into the photography business, and this is no lie, this is the logo for his retiring photography business that he uses now if you get his business card. Okay, so healthcare, very uncertain after 2017. You want to look at HSAs, you want to look at level funded plans, all that good stuff. Wages will be increasing, pay attention to paid time off. Big thing for millennials, 50% of the workforce, very important for your company as well. Look at big companies and emulate some of their benefits and perks. Design stuff that you think will match your budget. I tell you, the thought does count in this situation. People do appreciate making an effort with some of the things that are being offered, particularly for that generation. Okay, I know we're a room full of CPAs and accountants, so let's talk a little taxes. Let me first of all warn you guys as well, I am a CPA. I don't know how, KPMG said, do I have time to tell this story? I have to tell this story very quickly because so I worked for KPMG in Philadelphia. I worked there for 9 years, if you can imagine, in KPMG. And when I started there at KPMG, they had a lot of banking clients. And does anybody here, I don't know if you guys are in the banking world, anybody knows what like a cash count is? Have you ever heard of like a cash count? So cash count, they still do them nowadays. You literally go into the bank branch and you count the cash that's there, the physical cash, and then you report it back to headquarters. That's what that's what they do. That's what that's fine. It's an internal control. So when I started with KPMG back in 1985, I wanted to be certified in cash counting, which tells you the kind of loser that I was. That was like my big thing, was to be a certified cash counter. I had nothing going on, no social life, no, that's what I wanted to do. So they sent me down to Florida, to Fort Lauderdale, to get certified in cash counting, which first of all is disturbing on a few levels, that firms like KPMG have such a filthy amount of money that they send bozos like me out of college to go and learn how to count cash, let alone I needed training on how to count cash. But okay, so I came back an official certified cash counter. This is a true story. If you know anybody in Philly that was there at the time, they'll tell you this. So I come home, and literally the Sunday night after I had gotten my certification, I'm home alone, of course, and the phone rings, and I pick it up, and who's on the other line? But it's Rich Anderson, who was a well-known senior manager in the Philadelphia office at the time. So Rich says to me, "Is this Gene Marks?" And I'm like, "Yes, it is." And he says, "This is Rich Anderson, senior manager, KPMG, Philadelphia." They all talk that way like it was the military or something. I'm like, okay. Hi, Rich. Yes, what can I do? And I stood up. I was like very because it's Rich, and I'm like saluting. Yes, sir, Mr. Anderson. Because they're like a big firm. I don't know if they have cameras or whatever. And he's like, very important job for you to do, Gene. I understand that you just got certified in doing cash counting. Is that correct? Yes, Mr. Anderson, that is correct. We have a job for you. Our biggest client in Philadelphia, Mellon Bank, right? Our biggest client in Philadelphia, we're going to do a surprise cash count. Tomorrow morning, 8 a.m., 16th and Walnut Street. I need you to be there, Gene. Are you up for that task? I'm like, yes, Mr. Anderson, I'm up for that task. I'll be sure to be there at 8 a.m. And he's like, please do that. Do not let me down, Gene. Do not let the firm down. Do not let the partnership down. He literally said that to me. And then the phone melted in my hand. And I don't know how they pulled that off, but they are a big firm. They have a lot of resources. So true story. The next morning, I go to the Mellon Bank branch at 16th and Walnut Street, and I walk into the branch, and as I walk in, I put down my bag, and I whip out, my KPMG identification card, and as trained, I say, ladies and gentlemen, may I please have your attention? My name is Gene Marks. I'm with your accounting firm, KPMG, sit down on Market Street, and I am here to do a surprise cash count. May I ask all of you to step back from where you're standing now and line up along the wall over here to my left. And they did. They all did. They backed up, and they went, and they started lining up. First of all, the whole staff was like a bunch of 22-year-old girls. They're just like, I hate this job anyway. I don't care, anything not to do any work. And then they were lining up, and I sprang into action. I ran behind the counter, and I'm like nuts. I'm like counting cash, like as I was trained. Now, I don't want to give away any KPMG secrets, but let me tell you just a few secrets just so you can, right? You count it, you get into a bundle of $250, you put a rubber band around it, you have a yellow KPMG sticker, boom, you put it on the top of it, you write it in your worksheet, and you keep going. So I'm counting, it was 8:15, 8:20, 8:30 rolls around. The manager of the bank walks in. He sees his entire staff standing along the wall here, and he sees this kid. He's like feverishly counting cash and $100 bills flying, his sweat pouring out. And he puts down his briefcase, and he's like, what the hell's going on here? And one of the girls is like, oh, Mr. Smith, that's Gene Marks. He's with our accounting firm, KPMG. He's here doing a surprise cash count. And he's like, KPMG aren't our accountants. Ernst & Young are our accountants. I went to the wrong place, okay? The wrong branch. To this day, I'm telling you, the guy said Mellon Bank branch. I swear to you, but he claims it was Fidelity Bank and that was our client. That's his story. Anyway, so I left. It's a true story. So, why did I just tell you that story? Okay, well, yes, I'm a CPA. Clearly, I'm not a very good CPA. I'd like to talk a little bit about taxes with you guys. I got all this information off the internet, so I'm sure it's fine, okay? But I want to make sure that you can validate this with your own accountants or your own financial experts. So what's going on in Washington right now is I talked to you about Trump and all of his running around and all of the tweeting and all the whatever. Again, Tom Price is working behind the scenes. Alexander Acosta is working behind the scenes. Steve Mnuchin, his Treasury Secretary, working very hard behind the scenes. He says there will be an official plan for tax reform ready to go after Labor Day, and that's going to be our fall topic of discussion once that gets released. So right now, I don't know if I'd tell you guys or not, but that's fine. 39.6% top rate. 35% top corporate rate, 20% top capital gains rate, 40% estate tax, right? Like after a $5.5 million exclusion. These are all the things that Trump proposed in his tax reform plan. I'm not going to say they're all going to happen, but they're up there to happen. A 35% top individual rate. The biggie for all of us is this corporate rate thing. I don't know how many of you guys work at companies that file S corporation returns. Like that's my company. That's a big deal. All of our rates, I won't get taxed at an individual rate. It'll pass through and I get taxed at either a 15 to 20% corporate rate. It could be a little bit higher depending on how negotiations go, but still less than the top individual rate. 0 to 20% top capital gains rate. That 3.8% Obamacare tax keeps going back and forth whether they'll eliminate it or not. Eliminating estate taxes altogether, don't get too excited about that. It affects like not-for-naught people in this country. And by the way, they've eliminated the estate tax 11 times in U.S. history. You know, they eliminate it and then it comes back again. It's like your mother-in-law, you know, like every Christmas she shows up again. The estate tax shows up again as well. This is big for some states if you have high state taxes, right? Sound familiar? And then you take a deduction for that. Well, they're eliminating that deduction of state taxes. They're going to keep the mortgage interest, charitable child care deductions, a $12,000 standard deduction, $24,000 for a couple. That's what's being proposed. The idea is to simplify the whole process and make it easier for people just to they just take the standard deduction, they don't itemize. That border adjustment tax, you might have heard about that before. I don't think it's going to have much legs. The whole border adjustment tax thing was Trump likes American companies that hire American workers that make their products in America and then sell them wherever they want to sell them. He does not like non-American companies that make their products outside of America with non-American workers and then sell it into America. So they were talking for a while about having this sort of basically border adjustment tax that would have an extra tax on companies that did that. But right now, it's a complicated tax, and I don't think it's going to happen. Obamacare repeal is also going to have a big impact on this because they can't use the $133 billion in savings from Obamacare, then that has an impact on where these rates are going to go. The other thing that has a big impact on rates, oh, by the way, are $20 trillion national debts, okay? Just kind of like an issue. Trump's tax proposal will add $10 trillion to the national debt over the next 10 years. And I swear to God, you could talk to 20 economists, 10 of them will tell you it's no big deal, including Paul Krugman from the New York Times. Like, listen, if we can service our debt, it's fine, it's like a mortgage, it's all good. 10 of them will tell you it's a complete calamity. I don't know what to think. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. All we know is right now it's projected to really go high, and people are afraid that they look at Greece and Spain and they get concerned that's going to happen. Why is it going high? This was the government spending in 2015. They spent $3.8 trillion. Two-thirds, 67% of it went to some type of entitlement, right? Medicare and health, Social Security, veterans benefit, two-thirds went to it. And right now, there are no proposals to cut those back. So, I mean, Trump has been very firm about not touching these entitlements, although Medicare right now is up for some discussion with Obamacare. For the most parts, this stuff, and Paul Ryan is a big wants to cut entitlements because he sees what the budget is. How can we afford this? The money's got to come out of somewhere. And that's, by the way, interest on debt. Right? The Fed just raised interest rates yesterday. They're planning on a couple of more increases this year. We could be a full percentage point higher in February of 2018 than we were in February of 2017. In an era of low interest rates that was taking up 6% of the budget, what's going to happen now as interest rates go up? Where's that money going to come from? So it's a big issue. That's what we're going to be seeing debated in Washington after. I don't know if we'll see full tax reform, but we are going to be definitely seeing pieces of it come through before the end of the year. Bottom line is this: what are your actions, okay? I know I'm speaking to CPAs, so if you're like me, I have a CPA, right? Because clearly you wouldn't want me doing your taxes. I wouldn't want me doing my taxes. So those of us that are in private industry that have our accounts, you want to sit down with your accountant this year and have a conversation with them. If you're in public practice or you are in your own, make sure you're taking full advantage of that Section 179 deduction. And can you believe I'm actually throwing out portions of the tax code? Like, I know what I'm talking about after telling you the stories of me being a CPA. But that I know, Section 179 deduction that you can take up to a $500,000 a year deduction on capital equipment. It's huge. It's been made permanent. I'm seeing a lot of clients and companies revisit the R&D tax credit. It's regardless of what industry that you are in. Hire an outside consultant to help you. There are many that participate here in this conference as well. It really doesn't make a difference what industry, if you're designing new products, if you're offering new services, the calculation should be revisited, and it's a credit. And I'm seeing a lot of companies take advantage of it. Tell your clients, if you're in public or you're write off AR, and listen, for those of us that run small businesses, we all have something in common. I talk to small business owners. We come from all over the country, all different backgrounds, all different cultures, religions, all sorts of different opinions, political things. But we all have one thing in common as a business owner, one thing in common. One day, we will all be 85 years old and sitting in a nursing home in diapers, and we will still be able to remember every single person who stiffed us in our professional careers. We always ask any business owner, the guy, you won't even remember what he had for breakfast that morning, but he'll be able to say, yeah, Acme Products got us, Gladstone Machinery, hey, they screwed us back in 1995, A&B Products, I remember those guys didn't pay. So business owners tend to leave stuff on their receivables ledger, right? They're never going to get paid. You got to encourage your clients, or you need to clean up your receivables ledger to take full advantage, write them off to take advantage. Inventory, the same thing. We buy stuff, we make bad deals like everybody else. The inventory is sitting around forever. It's never going to be used. You want to make sure that you write off that inventory as well. Very, very important to take the deduction. All of us can get it on the phone. We can employ our kids. I mean, you can employ your kid in your business and pay them up to like $4,000 a year, and even if they're not earning anywhere else, you can take the deduction for it, right? So they learn a little work ethic. You're not going to put your 6-year-old behind the phones, okay? So don't go there, okay? 11-year-old, 12-year-old, 13-year-old, teach them something. Summer's coming up. As soon as you pay them, you grab that paycheck out of their hands and stick it in a savings account, right? Because you know they're going to buy an Xbox or something stupid with it. So, employing your kids is a big thing. 529 plans continues to be very popular with my clients. After-tax money, you put that away for higher education, and it grows without any taxes being charged. So I have 3 kids that just graduated from college, all 3 of them twins, and the older one is like 11 months older. They're all the same. So I'm still looking for my fertility doctor. The guy's name is Abramowitz. If anybody's heard of him, he disappeared after the twins were born. I can't find this guy, and I was stuck with 3 screaming kids. Anyway, a CPA told me 21 years ago to start investing in 529 plans. And I forgot if I mentioned this, but college tuition, it's really high. It's very expensive. So you can take the money out, no tax at all, it grows, and then as long as you're using it for college-related stuff, room, board, books, not beer, tuition, stuff, very, very good. Max out your retirement plans. These are some other big popular things this year to consider for your company or recommend to clients. If you're in public and you're not familiar with calculating these things, there are some great consulting firms that will do this for you. The work opportunity tax credit, any long-term welfare recipient, they've been long-term unemployed, hiring a vet, you get a credit, $9,600 for hiring them. And if you are employing a vet, good for you if you are, and you're paying them higher than what the military is paying them, and good for you if you're doing that, you can apply for and get a $4,000 differential wage credit against your taxes that you owe. So you should definitely be looking into those things as well. Those things are really super important when you're thinking about your taxes for next year. Okay, true or false? The current corporate tax rate is 15%. False, okay? It's 35%. The hope is that it'll come down to 15, maybe 20% for not only corporations, but also for S-corps as well. True or false? Tax reform will eliminate the mortgage deduction. Okay, that's false. The real estate industry, very powerful people. That's all I'm going to say, okay? Just so that mortgage deduction, that ain't going nowhere forever, okay? Just so we know. Okay, and true or false? The American Institute of Certified Public Accountants provides accommodation for its homeless members. Is that true or false? The New Jersey Society doesn't do this, but true or false? Does the NJCPA do this? It's actually false. They live in tax shelters. I thought that was kind of funny. It's like a tax joke. You know what I'm saying? We're talking taxes, we're accountants here, and so, this is kind of okay, fair enough. All right, and true or false, G-Marks, that's me. My most recent book went to #1 on Amazon.com. Okay, it's false. It's like 800 million on Amazon.com. And what a surprise. My most recent book was the manufacturer's book of lists, right? What the hell was I thinking? I thought every kid would want one of these for Christmas in their stocking. It turned out I sold 3 copies of that book. But the one before it, In God We Trust, Everyone Else Pays Cash, did very well and continues to do very well. You can get it on Amazon.com. And oh, by the way, true or false, Gene Marks, that's me. My newsletter has more than 1 million subscribers. It's false. It's like 10,000, which isn't bad. Not bad. It's a good start. Okay. But here's the thing with my newsletter. So, as you heard, I write in a bunch of different places. I have some people that help me out with research. At the end of each month, after I've done my writing, I've got hundreds of links to great articles that were written online. And I pick one thing every month that helps me. To heck with all of you guys. That helps me run my business. It could be something great that somebody wrote about collecting money or managing inventory or hiring an employee or saving tax. So I just pick out one thing that says, you know what? That piece of advice can help me make some money. And then I'm like, okay, I'll share it with everybody else. So I just take an excerpt from it and I put it into this newsletter and I share it out. So feel free, you can subscribe by texting or going to my website and signing up there, completely free and all that good stuff. Okay, healthcare costs, very uncertain after 2017. Wages will be increasing, pay attention to paid time off. Look at big companies to emulate some of their benefits and perks. Tax relief is coming, but so are hard budget decisions. Banking. Got to talk about banking because that's a big issue. Again, we're with Steve Mnuchin. He's got the same glint in his eye because he sees more regulatory reform coming, and he's all about that regulatory reform, right? So right now, Dodd-Frank, it's opposed by Trump and Ryan. The House bill was passed in June. It's now in the Senate. Where are we going? We're going towards a big Dodd-Frank scale back. Now, first of all, here's what's being said in Washington about Dodd-Frank, right? Trump himself, it's too hard for bankers to function. There's too many rules and regulations that banks, particularly smaller banks, for them to function. Janet Yellen, right, chief of the Federal Reserve, she says Dodd-Frank is too difficult for smaller banks to compete and changes need to be made. Barney Frank, as in Barney Frank, okay? Barney Frank, he said, basically, let me interpret this for what he said here. He said, okay, my bad. I kind of screwed up. I know it was a good idea. I thought this would be like a really good thing for like all the banks, and I went a little bit overboard. So please, for all of you smaller banks, accept my apologies. I know this was probably not a good thing. My bad. I think we need to make some changes. That's what Barney Frank is saying, okay? So, it's whatever. But it's now in the Senate. Chuck Schumer is the minority leader in the Senate, says, we have the 60 votes necessary to block a repeal. So we're not going to see a big repeal of it. We're going to see more of a replacement of Dodd-Frank. This is everything that's being said in Washington right now about Dodd-Frank. I do caution you, oftentimes things are said in Washington which don't automatically mean that they're true, so you have to take them with a little bit of a grain of salt. But the bottom line is that something is going to be happening with Dodd-Frank. The House has already passed their bill. This is what you can expect to be seen. This is what the Senate is now. It's now on the Senate's table to consider, okay? It's a scale back, not a full repeal. A reduction in reporting requirements for smaller banks. Basically, it was like any banks with more than like $50 billion in assets had to go through all these liquidity and stress tests, and now they want to bump it up to like $150 billion in assets, even more. So their stress tests will be gone. They'll be done every other year. Bad thing is this Volcker rule. Like I always say Voldemort rule. It's Volcker rule. The Volcker rule was designed so that banks couldn't take our money and buy risky things like derivatives or whatever and trade and get into all that nonsense that caused, the financial crisis of 2009. That was the Volcker rule, and right now the House in their bill repealed it. So now the Senate is considering that, so I'm not a big fan of that. Consumer Financial Protection Bureau turned into a bipartisan commission that used to be more of a partisan, backed thing that was kind of overreached its responsibilities. It's now basically all the powers of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau has pretty much been taken away under this bill that the Senate is now considering. So for you as CPAs, whether you're in private practice or whether you're in public practice, there's more opportunities. Everybody I know is going to be revisiting their banking relationship because now banks are going to have a lot more freedom and flexibility to lend like they never had before. Your clients will demand, if you're in public, risk diversification. So, it is no longer a thing where, back in the day you would get a loan from, Wells Fargo, and then they would say to you, well, we're giving you this loan. We have to have all of your banking here, all of your operating, all of your accounts here, your payroll account, your kids' accounts, your grandparents' accounts. Everybody's got to be with us now because we gave you this loan. That's gone away. You go and sit down with your banker and be like, please lend me the money, but I'm going to continue to bank with these guys over there. That is like not an unreasonable thing that's being said nowadays because banks understand, based on the 2009 crisis, we need to diversify. Community and independent banks, watch them. They'll have a lot more opportunities, less regulatory oversight, so there'll be good opportunities for them, good opportunities for us to borrow or advise. Federal grants are still available. There'll be all this growth and popularity. Corporate grants, Chase, FedEx, Comcast, Intuit, Sam Adams, and a slew of other corporations are giving away money to people that from small and medium-sized businesses. SBA loans will continue to be popular, even if the SBA is rolled into the Department of Commerce. The SBA, which they talked about under Linda McMahon, they loaned more money last year than ever in their history. And then there's online lenders. Some of them are teetering, Can Capital. Others are doing okay, Prosper and Lending Club. They lend money up to 50% interest rates, these online lenders. You're like, Who would borrow 30 to 50% interest rates for online lenders? Let me tell you who would borrow. Just so you know, you can think about this. I have a client in Philly, and he wanted to open up a coffee. He had 3 coffee shops, and he wanted to open up another coffee shop in a really good area in Philadelphia near Rittenhouse Square. And the landlord required like a $10,000 deposit to secure the location. The guy just couldn't write a check for $10,000. So he went to like, I don't know, Prosper. He got $10,000. He put down the deposit, and then he, refinanced that into a longer-term loan with a traditional bank. So he wasn't paying 50% interest for the entire year. He paid a little bit of a premium, but they give money right away. Okay, so it's like on-demand money that they will give, which is very few requirements. So there's a room for them in the space. Lots of financing opportunities because of all of this. All right, true or false? There will be a full repeal of Dodd-Frank. False, okay, it'll be a scale back. That's what we're looking at. It does have the support, does not have the support for a full repeal in the Senate, but we will be seeing a scale back. Barney Frank supports a change to Dodd-Frank. Okay, that's true, amazingly, but that is absolutely true. And true or false? The best way to stop your teenage daughter from taking inappropriate selfies is to take away her iPhone. True or false? Okay, it is false. Very good. And let me tell you my reason why it's false. It all happens to do with a man I'm taking. His name is Chris Warren. He is a father in the UK, and he has a teenage daughter, a 16-year-old daughter, who was taking inappropriate selfies with her iPhone and then pasting it on her Facebook page. And what he did is every time she took an inappropriate selfie of herself, he would take an inappropriate selfie of himself and post it on his Facebook page. And after doing that for about 2 weeks, she stopped taking inappropriate selfies of herself altogether. Genius. So bear in mind, that's just one thing and one option. Don't take away the iPhone. Dads, get out the magic marker. Okay? No. Right, these millennials. And true or false, this plumber's truck is like the best advertising ever. Have you ever seen anything better than this? It's kind of like amazing. It's fantastic. This guy has got a closet of green shirts. That's all he wears. He drives around. Can you imagine this guy? It's fantastic. All right. So we have a few minutes left, so let me wrap things up. I know I spoke this morning. I apologize for people who came to my session this morning, but I want to just grab 3 big technologies. And we talked about politics, the economy, Dodd-Frank, tax, lots of healthcare. Let's talk about a little bit of technology, right? Because we're making investments. We're business people. We're managers. We want to be looking ahead. So out of all the different things over here's 3 big technologies that companies are investing in this year, with the eye towards their long-term growth. The first is HR platforms, okay? I mean, it used to be a time when you just had a payroll service. HR platforms, if you've got more than 5 employees in your business, you have to commit to an HR platform. Accounting people have accounting systems, salespeople have CRM systems, inventory managers have their systems. Now HR people have their systems. These platforms, there's a bunch of great ones that are out there. Paychex is excellent. They do the payroll service, and then they also have the full-blown features of an HR platform. They're all online, and what they are is they force your employees to do data entry. So everybody gets a login to the portal that's provided, and then when they need to update their contact info, they want to put in for vacation time, they want to put in for sick days, they want to, their performance reviews. It all goes through the portal. It cuts down on your data entry, and then this platform of Paychex and many others that are like it, they have workflows, they have alerts, so that when you go there and it reminds you if there's vacation days, it reminds you when performance reviews are due. It takes care of, say you want to hire a new employee, there's 18 things that have to happen, the security card and data access. So the minute that person's employed, you add them to the portal, and then all these things get scheduled in Outlook or whatever that you're using to remind people to do stuff. And then if they forget to do it, you get alerted about it. So big technology in 2017 and 2018 is HR platforms. Keep that in mind. Number 2, payables automation is a big technology this year. Used to be you would get something delivered to you like a scanned document and you couldn't really do anything with it. Now you can do something with it. Optical character recognition technology allows these applications, Entryless, Bill.com is another one, Expensify, Concur. Those applications, they scan the invoices, extract all the data, and put it right into your accounting system. So for like Entryless, you say to your vendors, don't mail me any more invoices. You want to get paid? Email it to this address that EntryLess provides to you. Scan it. When it receives it, it scans it, it puts it into a format. You or your accounting person or staff, whatever, you review it, you approve it, goes right into your accounting system automatically. I know this sounds harsh, but these kinds of applications cut down on overhead. They cut out accounts payable people, or they significantly reduce the amount of time that they're spending, and that's something that should be considered. We want to keep overhead low. Very, very popular. And finally, ransomware is the big thing this year. With ransomware, I'm sure we've seen all the news of companies being infected by these ransomware stuff. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry. It is BART, the San Francisco transportation system, was shut down by ransomware last year. A hotel in Vienna, all the guests were locked in and out of their rooms because, can you imagine, of a ransomware attack? These ransomware companies, it's the first virus where they make money. They have customer service departments. Literally, if you get infected by ransomware, everything gets locked up and encrypted, and then you're told you've got to pay $100 in Bitcoin, no less, to get this, the encryption key and unlock your files. And what if you don't know how to do that? Oh, they provide an 800 number for you to call. They're literally, and like a customer service rep will pick that up and walk you through the process of unlocking your files that they infected for you. That's the kind of, and then they disappear automatically. That is what it is. So ransomware is a big, big issue, and it's going to grow in an issue this year, continue to. 3 things you can do to protect yourself against ransomware. Train your people. Don't double-click on goofy-looking files or from people that you don't recognize. Be aware if you're redirected to a website that's like one of those phishing websites that you go to it and it just downloads something and then boom, it infects you. The big thing is online backup this year. Because companies, there's many great online backup services. Carbonite is a great one. Mozy, Barracuda, there's a bunch of them. They cost peanuts. A few $100 a year at most. They're constantly backing up your files, both in the cloud, from your cloud stuff, as well as on site. If you ever get infected by ransomware, you just say, well, to heck with you guys. I'm not paying you off right now. I'm just going to delete my files and restore from my last good backup, and then you're back up and running. So I'm seeing a lot of clients, big resurgence in online backup, something that you definitely have to consider and subscribe to this year. So these are just 3 hot technologies to consider for 2017 and 2018. All right, true or false, carbonite is a radioactive element from Superman's home planet. Okay, that's false. That's kryptonite, right? Okay, good. Right, so we're Superman fans, right? But carbonite, great service, online backup, highly recommended that you consider them. True or false, you can now buy a Ken Bone red sweater on Amazon for $25.99. No, it's false. It's now $9.99. Clearly, Ken Bone's popularity, he had his 15 minutes, fair enough. True or false, Jane Jetson was a teen mom. Wait, don't even answer this question. I get this question every time I speak. It's getting on my nerves already. She is not a teen mom. All you have to do is do the math. She was 32 years old, right, when the show was made. Daughter Judy was 16. She's clearly a teen mom. So just like, right, 32 minus 6 is a teen mom. So don't even bring this up again. Even if you see me outside, don't even ask about it. I'm sick of talking about it. Jane Jetson was completely a teen mom. And true or false, according to a recent study in the Journal of Microbiology, 80% of fast food drink dispensers contain fecal matter. All right, calm down. It's false. It's only 50%, okay? So you don't have to worry. People get very upset. It's like 80%, and it's just 50%. Everybody just relax. All right, let's sum it all up. Healthcare, very uncertain after 2017. My advice, HSAs, high deductible plans, level funded plans, they're hot. Wages will be increasing. My advice, pay time off, revisit and keep it competitive. Look at big companies and emulate some of their benefits and their perks. That is my advice. Tax relief is coming, but so are hard budget decisions. There will be some type of tax reform in 2018. The Republicans have to have some type of tax reform. So keep an eye on that because that's going to impact both you and potentially your clients. Banks will be more flexible to lend in the next 6 to 9 months, so it's a good time to revisit them and your relationships and get some capital. HR platforms, payables automation, online backup, 3 key technologies to recommend to your clients or to use in your business. You want to look at them this year. So, true or false, you are much smarter than you were a mere 75 minutes ago. Okay, that's true. Before I finish, let me just remind you, okay? Do not put salt in substitute of sugar when you're making breakfast for 50 kids in your Boy Scout troop. But remember the Boy Scout motto, which is be prepared. Always look ahead. Make these decisions because they will impact your businesses in the next 2 to 3 years. That's what the smart business people do. They are always prepared. So everybody, thanks very much. Enjoy lunch.
Thank you, Gene.
Thank you.